Greetings. My name is Louis Molina, and I'm the host of the Life Puro podcast. Today, I talk with previous guest Jeff Streva, and he's going to show us how to harvest or fish for your own Louisiana crawfish. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Well, I'm Louis Molina. I'm the host of the Life Puro, and I'm in Morgan City, Louisiana with Jeff Streva, if you remember him from previous episodes. Thanks for having me out today, Jeff.
That's it.
So what are we doing today?
Happy to be here. We're going to catch some crawfish, Louisiana style, Cajun style. Have about 30 traps in here.
Okay.
We're going to sack them up, obviously, in this. That's Cajun pogie, but it's actually, if you look it up, it's menhaden, but they call it pogie.
Okay.
We'll be cutting those in half. Right now, it's still a little early in the season, and they're not eating the whole fish.
Okay.
So I'm putting a half a fish in each trap. You run about every other day. A little bit later in next month or so, it'll be even more. The temperature, the crawfish will be eating more. You put a whole fish, and you can go every day, and that fish will be going overnight. So,
yeah.
Right now, we're not doing that. But anyway, I'm gonna get us all set up, and then we'll get to the traps and catch some crawfish.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a nice April day. I think April 23rd. Pretty nice day today, too. We had, I guess, a little front that came in through the last few days, so this is definitely a nicer weather for you, huh?
It's nicer for us, sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, no doubt. And the water, and that little cool front was good for us, but it didn't affect the crawfish. It didn't affect the water temperature much, so they're still active and see.
Yeah.
Now, you can't ever control Mother Nature, obviously, right? So today's catch we're not going to set the world on fire today. The water came up a little bit.
Okay.
When the water falls is when they start really biting and hitting. They feed on the fall like fish.
Okay.
So it's not the end of the world, but it's not a hard falling tide where we're going to slaughter them.
Okay.
It'll be worth it. We're going to have a good old time.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Now, this is a pretty neat setup. So what kind of boat are we on?
This is a custom made. In Morgan City, there's 3 or 4, maybe even 5 little companies that build these small little Cajun boats. If you notice, the front has a little V in the front, kind of barely up top to offset water lilies. This little slough we're in, which we'll get to that, doesn't have water lilies, so we don't have to worry about that. But custom built Cajun little boat. They build them to different sizes based on whatever engine size you tell them you have. I had a 25, a 15, and now a 25, and this boat's built for that size.
Yeah.
So
It's like a Jeep Wrangler of boats, huh?
that's right. Exactly.
Very utilitarian.
Do it all. You can go and hit the cypress knees. Not full blast, obviously, but yeah, it won't hurt the boat. You're all good. So yeah, this is a customized tool.
Yeah.
For crawfishing.
So I see you're wrapping this this green sack. What's that about?
So what I'm doing right now is I'm setting up the sack, getting it set up.
Okay.
The sack hangs. I'm going to dump the crawfish in here.
Okay.
And notice there's a little grading system. This is not a technical grader to get larger crawfish. I set up only to do a trash grader, so the leaves and mud fall through, but the crawfish stay.
Okay.
Some of the professionals, they'll make these gaps wider, so the smaller crawfish fall through, and you only have grade A graded crawfish. Mine, I'm usually always medium crawfish. All year I always have medium crawfish, some large, some small, but 90% medium, so I don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
And none of the friends that I've given or sold to have ever complained about my medium crawfish, so I'm good with just the trash grader. Yeah. So I'm going to dump into here. Trash will go out the side. There's a little, you'll see the water's going to shoot out. Crawfish fall in here, and this is for my bait, for the poke.
Okay.
We're only running a few traps. Usually this thing is filled to the top with fish. I usually run 90 traps.
Okay.
And so this is usually heavier, and that's why you'd want to put this right here and up, so you're not bending down 90 times every other day, every day. So
yeah.
This makes it easier, as you'll see.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, go on. Don't let me interrupt you. So
right.
I'll just be asking you questions, too, as we go along. I guess to give insight to people tuning in that maybe don't know the crawfish scene, in Louisiana, there's basically 2 types of crawfish, right? There's the farm raised, and I guess the what they call the river?
Wild.
Yeah, Bell River or
spillway crawfish.
Spillway crawfish. Okay.
We are in the Atchafalaya spillway. The Atchafalaya River is contained, but then as the farther south you get in Louisiana, it spreads into the woods like this.
Okay.
So this is tidal, but this is wild Louisiana crawfish, not pond raised. The pond raised are usually what people buy in November, December, January. You can control the temperature of the water,
Okay.
the level of the water, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
By February, March, April, May, June, July, you get the wild crawfish where the level's high enough like now for us to go and catch them, and then that's what we're going to get. So,
Okay. Very good.
yeah, we're wild Louisiana crawfish.
Has the drought of 2023 affected you differently this year than what you normally see?
It has. It pushed, so we had a double whammy. It pushed the season back because the water was too low, and Easter was early, so that messed up everybody wanting crawfish, and there was no crawfish hardly to be had.
Oh man.
Usually Easter's farther back in the calendar year.
Yeah.
The water's up, and I don't want to say we're tired of crawfish, but we've had our fill. I've had my, this year I didn't have hardly any in the beginning until like last week or so.
Yeah.
I was trying to sell them. So, yeah, see, the water,
So you got this first trap. Let's see what you got.
so not the greatest. So as you can see there, you know, full size, the crawfish size you're used to seeing.
Yeah.
Throw this old bait out.
Okay. So yeah, that's the previous pogey.
Yep,
That's
we're gonna,
and now you reset it at the same time now.
yep,
Huh? Okay.
Put the bait back in. And, drop the bait in. It goes in that little basket.
Okay.
Kind of underneath right here.
Yeah.
These crawfish go in these throats, and then they get in the trap. And as you saw, I opened it from the top.
Okay.
So I'm gonna set it on this back against the pole, and this way, look at me. This way is south. So
Okay.
you want your traps mostly facing south.
Really?
You go against the current and go up the current to get in. It's not 100% science. You don't have to do it. Some of my traps you'll see are facing north just because of terrain. But anytime you can set it south, you want it set south.
Is that in all situations, or just the way that you're oriented with the, I guess, where you're at and the way the river or at least the water flows?
That's exactly right.
So really, it's just how the water flows.
That's exactly
Okay.
what it's about.
Okay.
It's to do with the water flow.
Okay. Gotcha.
Ponds, the pond crawfish, they can set it any way they want because it's just a pond. It's not flowing water.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this is pretty simple setup when you deconstruct it. It's not anything like that complicated in terms of like machinery or the engineering of it.
No, right. You just got basically your boat, your traps, and your time.
Yeah. Now, when did you set this trap, this particular one? Was it a few days ago, last week?
Yeah, I usually run every other day. The water came up, so this trap, all these traps have a 2-day set, you call it. You run every other day, you call it a 2-day set.
Okay.
Sometimes you can run every day. Later in the season, it gets hotter and they start being more active. And once your fish runs out, your bait, it can't catch anymore. So you can go every day because they're eating the bait overnight. And if you leave it an extra day, you just wasted a day because there's no more bait. So there's no more crawfish going in.
Okay.
So most of the season you run every other day to kind of keep your harvest level even and your trap level even.
Yeah. Very cool. Now,
being in South Louisiana, I'm gonna offend a lot of people right off the bat. There's so you mark your traps, your own personal traps by colors, by ribbon.
Okay.
There's every color you can imagine, and as you would imagine, being in Louisiana, every combination of purple and gold is gone. There's purple dots, purple stripes, yellow dots, yellow stripes, yellow and purple. Unfortunately for you guys, y'all gonna hate me right off. I'm the Auburn fan.
Yeah.
Blue and orange.
I knew where that was going. Yep. Just like your Auburn on your gator tail.
That's exactly right. So again, not the greatest, but I'm gonna stop complaining.
So on a good, like what's considered a good day? Is it like full?
On a good day,
like really full? Okay.
It'll be filled up below my hand all the way down.
Okay.
These are called throats, and when you have a good trap, you say it was to the throats. It was filled to the throats. So usually it'd be all, all this much.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this isn't. What I'm happy with, we're all decent crawfish, right? We're not catching little babies. We're not catching 6 babies. These are all mediums. This is about every time I run, I usually have all these. You get a little larger one, and then you got mediums. So
that's good size.
So I'm gonna,
and then you swing them in. Okay.
Swing them in, cool. And then the trash and the leaves and stuff go through here and out the side.
Oh, very cool. Now, is this a custom setup or is this kind of a standard offering if someone wanted to get into it?
It's both. This unit is standard and this unit is standard, but people usually have them connected together or one in front of the other.
Okay.
They usually have a little bit wider boat, or they want them on one side so they can walk. I wanted them separate so I could walk through the middle.
Yeah, especially since you're working alone.
Alone.
Oh, yeah.
And this is too wide. If I put these two together, I'd have to do a balancing act to go around. Imagine if this was here, this whole setup was here. I'm doing a balancing act to go like this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So I separated them. As you can see down the slough, it's not really super tight. And these don't extend too far over the edge. So I want them to walk through in the middle.
Yeah.
So I designed this separate, but the units themselves are common to every crawfish boat.
Okay.
In fact, the boat was built by one guy, and a different guy, that's how specialized it are, a whole different guy does this and this. Your bait tray and your grater trough.
Okay.
So it's got...
Now you said you have 90 traps?
I have 90. I don't run them all at once, unless it's, I have a crazy big order. Somebody wants 5 sacks, 6 sacks for a family reunion or something. So I usually run about half, and then if I wanted to, I could run half one day and then half the next, and then go back to the original one the following day to keep them offset. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, I see.
That's what a lot of the professionals do. Who do it for a living, and that's all they do. They'll have like 400 traps, and they'll run 200 one day and then 200 the next, as opposed to me having, just 90.
Yeah.
To answer your question, 90. I've got, this is one little area. I have 4 little areas like this.
Yeah.
About 25 or 30 plus or minus in each one. Some don't have quite that many.
Yeah.
Some do.
Now, is this public land or private land, or is this a lease?
So this is all public land. The spillway is public. What the state of Louisiana did is there's 2 options. You can have a recreational license, which allows you to have up to, I want to say it's 200 pounds. We'll have to check with your buddy. Or 250 pounds, which is basically 5 to 6 sacks. Or if you have a commercial license, you can sell to the public or to the dock. And I say the dock, to the buyers.
Okay.
Who then turn around and sell to the restaurants or to the public. So I have, the last 2 years, I've actually gotten both, because in instance like today, if I was bored and I wanted to run all 90 and I caught 4 sacks, I'm not selling 4 sacks to the public on a Tuesday. It's just not gonna happen. So I would go sell to the dock and get money and reset the bait, reset the traps. So for the commercial license to sell to the dock, I sell during the week.
I see. Yeah, that reminds me when you offered me some crawfish on a Tuesday a few weeks ago, and it's like, oh man, I really wanted it, but it's in the middle of the week. Most people, they do their boils on the weekend, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. And I don't want to go on a Sunday and then not go all the way again until the following Friday, because what if the traps are set wrong or there's not enough bait or whatever? So I want to go during the week. So I'm thinking, if I'm gonna go during the week, I gotta do something with those crawfish.
Yeah.
I gotta go change those traps out, etc. And now, I will say this: my wife can eat some crawfish, so I'm not selling to the dock on every Tuesday or Thursday. We eat. Well, that's what started this whole thing. We eat. This year's a little different, but we usually eat twice a week. We eat at least once during the week, sometimes twice.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends too.
Yeah.
So I boil a lot of. I catch a lot of my own and boil them myself for my family.
Yeah.
So look, this is the tail. This is what's left.
Oh man, that's like nothing.
So it started with this.
Yeah. Ate it to the bone, huh? That's crazy. Man, a lot of good sizes there, huh?
Yeah, they good variety and mostly mediums.
Now I'm sure you've timed it. If you were to do your whole setup, like your one catch in a session, how many hours does that usually take by yourself?
By myself, like, usually about 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Because you can go faster, but as you'll see, you'll see me we hitting bumps and bruises, and I don't want to bust up my engine. There's no reason. I have the time.
Right.
I just go slow.
Yeah.
The professionals who run 200, 300 traps a day, they'll leave at 6 a.m. and get back at like 3 p.m. I mean, it's like an all-day, full-time job.
Yeah. Man.
I'm going in about a 2-hour span, maybe a 3-hour span, depending on what I want to catch and how many I'm running. And again, like I said, I go slow just because there's no reason to beat up all my equipment. Look, this is a good thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, a lot more on this one.
They're all big.
Almost to the throat.
Yeah, almost to the throat.
Yeah.
Look, they're a lot.
Yeah, they're bigger too, huh?
So I don't know if you noticed on the camera, we're about to tell, but we turned into a side slough, and it's more muddy, so you got this darker brown. In the main slough, we were catching these, which are more sand, and the main more traveled. So you see the two differences?
Yeah, you can tell the color difference. So yeah, the darker one has been in the deeper water, right? In the mud.
More muddy, more mud, less flow.
Okay.
The main ones have a little deeper flow. Sometimes the whitish ones are sand bottom, sandish mud.
Gotcha.
That's maybe not necessarily the case right there, but a lot of times it is. So what cigar did you choose for our crawfish extravaganza?
So I went with the Sirius Spagna, the Cordoba. So it's a nice kind of mild cigar. I didn't want anything too full-bodied. And good short little smoke. It's a 5x50 Robusto. Yeah, you've had those before, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's got to be peaceful out here, like especially on these days where the weather's nice.
It's so funny because people say, "Man, I would need a radio and this and that," and I was like, I want my engine purring and birds chirping and just be out in nature. I don't. If I go to the gym or something, I'll listen to the radio, or in my car. When I get out here, it's just nice and quiet and peaceful, and no distractions. I love being out here.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it off screen, but with the way the prices have been this year, you know, abnormally high due to all those like drought factors and other issues, did you see a lot more people coming out to harvest their own, or at least try?
So here's the thing. Yes is the answer. And I'm making this look simple. This is a pain in the butt if you're not set up right. I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying, to answer your question, people try it and they catch that and they like, the hell with this, I'll just pay the price and go back to the dock. So yeah, people tried it, went the price, they're not set up right, hitting cypress knees, catching not enough, expecting to catch 2 sacks and catch a quarter of a sack because it hadn't been great, and they've gone. They've already come and gone.
Wow. Yeah.
I did definitely notice a lot of different trucks at the landing. Those are doing too.
Oh wow, yeah, that is nice.
A lot of different trucks at the landing, and bay boats and gator tails and every combo of everything you could imagine, and those guys are all gone.
Yeah, it's hard work. It looks like, you know, it's not something simple, just, you know, romantic. You can just harvest your own. It's, oh, you just save a bunch of money.
And what's not going to come across on this film is this stinks.
Yeah,
this is the stinkest. It's so stinky.
Yeah,
so you want to you come home and your wife's like, go away.
Right.
Go shower in chlorine and every chemical under the sun.
Yeah.
And then maybe tomorrow night you'll be uncooked. You'll be back to being in the house. But it's stinky. But on the flip side, here I am doing it. I love it. Yeah. It's not that hard, but yes, if you're not set up like anything, right? If you have the right tools, it makes sense.
Right.
So this, Luis,
yeah.
This is new. This was not here yesterday.
Yeah, we had some wind the other night, huh? Need some help?
I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. got to contend with nature like this too. It's not, like I said, just easy.
That's it. So this is the end. I got one more right here, and this, and we're gonna make a little loop-de-loop and go back to the slough pobo run we were just in.
Yeah.
And continue on. In fact, I had 2 people that buy from me. Said, "Hey man, can you tell us where to go and get set up?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I said, "I'll give y'all part of one of my runs. I'm not going every day right now anyway." They never showed up, and they never even, they decided against that
right.
factor. They remembered, "Oh yeah, no, that's no fun. I'm not even gonna." They were all gung ho talking about it on a Saturday, maybe having a few. And then, no, I'm joking.
Yeah.
And then decided, "Oh, what were we thinking?" No,
Yeah.
just buy it from Jeff and let him do all that nasty work.
Have you seen any, you were telling me a few weeks ago about blue crawfish. What's that about?
So we're gonna have to talk to your wildlife and fisheries guy.
Yeah.
But so in the 8 years that I've been doing it, we'll go with that number, I've caught 9. I usually catch about 1 a year. And 1 year I had 2 of them, and they were like, it was a trip, and then it was like 2 trips later I caught another one in a trap, like 15 traps down. I don't think it was the same crawfish that made that journey. I think it was just a complete phenomenon that I had 2 of them. But I usually catch 1 a year. And we're gonna talk to you guy, like I said, but from what I understand, it's only the genetic trait in the male. So you can't just like do a whole bunch breeding with the female to make them. It just happens.
Okay.
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, we'll figure that out and get some more clarification on the blue crawfish.
They don't.
But obviously, it's a rare genetic.
It's rare. It's a rare
trait.
genetic, and it's kind of, I guess, a very bad analogy is it's like hair color for us. It doesn't, that crawfish doesn't taste any different.
Okay.
It's not any bigger, fatter, whatever. It's just blue instead of red for whatever reason. And I always I throw them back over. I want them to live and, I guess, not procreate, but I just want them to live. One time, in fact, last year, I caught one in the trap, and I put it right back by my trap, and I was hoping to catch him again, and the whole rest of the season, I never caught him again.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he died. I think he just ventured on and went somewhere else. So let's take a look, Luis. I'm going to pull the trash, kind of go through and...
So as you said, you're starting probably around February or March, well, after duck season.
Well, after duck season, 1, and 2, everybody has their own when they decide to go, but my wife's birthday happens to be mid-February, so I use that as my little marker. Okay, time to go put the traps out. And at that point, all I'm really doing is reserving my spot. I'm not expecting to catch crawfish February 20th.
Okay. Yeah.
It's still cold. They're not out of the mud hibernating from hibernating. But that's kind of the only other step you really have. You got to go and kind of mark your spot. Usually if you have a spot, you get to keep it. People,
they respect that.
See this slough and look down and see all my blue-orange markers from last year and say, oh, that's somebody's spot. I'm going to go somewhere else. But there's so much land, there's no reason to go on top of somebody. Like we were saying earlier, sometimes you'll cross, but there's no reason to be in a spot somebody else is. So back to your question, February-ish, my wife's birthday, I start thinking about it, getting it ready, getting my traps, getting my flagging, getting my poles, and then go set out so that by April, March, I go check between now and then, not as often, but you want to get your traps out, and you don't go set out all 100 at once. You set some out, a week later you go set a couple more, and you kind of start baiting them a little bit, check in, depending on the weather and the water temperature. Sometimes it's as early as March, but sometimes it's not until like this year where it was just crazy. It didn't work, it's not happening. So,
and then you can go as late as July?
So my other marker is my son's birthday, which is July 3rd, and he usually wants a sack of crawfish for his birthday. So I know I leave him out until July 3rd because I get him a sack. And then depending on the water level, if the buyers are still buying and the price, I'll go into July. The latest I've ever gone is into August.
What?
At that point, though, it's brutally hot, and the crawfish are really hard, which I'm sure the public knows. They just kind of start getting hard.
Yeah.
But
you could theoretically harvest until then if you want.
Can and do, and that's a lot of times people say I'm not fishing that long. Well, the demand is sometimes still there. So
yeah, people are still like eating.
Price goes back up.
Oh, what?
So it's worth it for me to go in July if I can, because I get.
Well, there's less supply too, so that would drive the price.
The demand, so the less fishermen, so the docks that people buying are getting less. The docks themselves are getting less crawfish brought in, and the demand is there. So like, Jeff, I'll pay you another 50 cents a pound. Go tomorrow. Go.
Yeah.
Whatever. And again, I'm using me as a reference.
Right.
My 2, 3 sacks, 4 sacks don't make a difference. Professionals bringing in 15, 20, 30 sacks.
And most of those professionals aren't harvesting or catching during that time.
Because they're going, if you're doing it for a living, you're going every day starting in March. By July, when it's 100 degrees, you are done.
May, June, July, 5 months, yeah. Almost every day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can run 300, then 300 the next day. That's back to the original 300. So you are literally going, if you're doing it for a living, you can literally go every day.
For like 5 months.
For 4 to 5 months.
Yeah. And make a living. Good living. Yeah. Now, do you know any of those professional crawfishermen?
I do.
What do they do outside of the season? Do they just like take a vacation or do other harvesting or fishing?
So some people switch different species. Like as soon as crawfish ends, they'll start catching crabs.
Okay.
Frogging. So some people are commercial fishermen and they'll do whatever's in season.
Gotcha.
They'll fit. Some people, if you can, everybody has their own definition of what a good living is, right? But if you wanted to, you could crawfish for 5 months and take the rest of the year off.
Oh man,
it's lucrative.
Yeah,
it's not work you want to do every day, but if that's your job, then you do every day. And yes,
but that's hard work, I guess. And if you're doing that to work 5 months of the year,
well, think about it.
Yeah, you got to work every day those 5 months.
5 a.m., 6 a.m. It's storming, raining. It's 100 and whatever degrees. Do you want to stay in that bed, or do you want to go in the boat and get stinky in the pouring rain with the lightning and these trees?
Yeah.
It's like, that dude has to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it for a living, it's lucrative, and you get sick. So yeah, you get sick of it. You want to be done by the end of the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I know people who just keep switching whatever the season is, they'll do it. And then a couple of people I know just do crawfish and manage their money, and it lasts.
That's cool. But yeah, those 5 months you're working, you're
behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say, you are making this look pretty easy, though.
Yeah, the viewer's gonna be like, "What's he talking about? That doesn't look hard at all."
Yeah.
Back and forth. But this is a little easier run. I'm not catching a ton. You got to get all up in the nasty, heavy grass, gator tail. You can really.
You can clean up, huh?
That's where the professional guys are. They're not in a nice, pretty little slough like this. They're like deep in that, crushing it.
Huh. Yeah, because I mean, this, like you call this a slough, this lane of sorts, it's pretty easy, or easier to maneuver. But I guess to get some good ones, you go like in this tough, thick stuff, huh?
And think about how many, so that's shallower. So there's minimal cypress knees in this slough. That's nothing but cypress knees.
Yeah.
So the whole time you're doing this, literally, that boat's,
oh man,
you're going over and around them and cutting them, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not doing all that. I don't need to do it.
Yeah. You're doing this for fun, but you know, you're paying some bills, you know.
Yeah, a little play money.
Well, yeah.
Usually it covers. I have a little mad money, like one of my buddies called it, a little mad money, and it covers my duck season, my duck lease dues.
Nice.
Which are due right after duck season, right after crawfish season, so it works out pretty good. Look, come see. So I didn't bait today. This is called dry bait. It looks like a big fat piece of chalk. This one's worn down. They're usually about that long and about that round, and they're brown. It's like ground up sort of dog food-ish stuff, and it breaks down slower, and the current takes it, and it attracts the crawfish. I don't think by smell. Anyway, and then they see that, and then they see the fish, and they go into the trap. Today we were doing this. I was kind of wanting to speed us along, but this is dry. You usually put dry bait and a piece of fish.
Okay.
Put this back in.
Do people use other baits or attractants?
So there, the
besides what you're using today?
Yes. You have, this is pogie, which is actually menhaden, and there's a fish called shad. Shad is the other bait. Shad is a much tougher skin, and it's a tougher fish, so it lasts longer in the trap. So the crawfish eat it, but it's tougher. This falls apart, the pogie falls apart quickly. Shad lasts longer. So if you're not coming, we're gonna hit the street. If you're not coming every day or every other, if you're not coming every other day, you're coming every 3 days, every 4 days, we use shad just because it's tougher and it'll last longer and you catch more fish.
Okay.
That's like a bass fisherman, and does he use a worm or a wappa ploppa or whatever they got these days? Everybody has their own opinions and who uses what, etc. So, I just use pogie just because I'm keep it simple, and dry bait. Some people put corn, Luis, and they nibble it one kernel at a time. It is like the craziest thing, and it's spent. They'll take it in a row. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen.
Oh man!
You'll have half the corn going, and the other half is like not even touched.
Yeah.
And that's also an attractant to keep them longer in the trap, if you don't go every day type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Feed them while you're waiting to.
While you're
bring it in.
Correct.
Now, how much do the menhaden or pogies cost you? And how do you buy it?
You buy it in a 40 pound box, and it's they come from, they're caught off the coast of New Jersey. It's a 40, I want to say it's a 40 pound box.
Okay.
And they're all frozen. And then you take them out, you leave them out the night before so that they can defrost enough to be malleable and not all stuck together.
Oh, gotcha.
The other option is you can buy a 50 pound box, and it's an open top box, and the menhaden are a little bit smaller.
Okay.
You put 2 of those instead of 1 of these, because they're just a little bit smaller. It's another option. You get a little bit more bang for your buck, just like anything. And then you can buy a 100 pound box, which is a pain in the butt to handle, but you get more for your money.
Yeah, gotcha. And how much does a 40 pound box cost?
38 bucks.
Okay.
And the bag of dry usually lasts, I can get 2 runs out of it. So 90 and 90, I can get 180 pieces out of it, maybe 200 pieces out of it, and that's 26 bucks.
Okay.
And then, so there's your hard costs. But then, okay, Jeff, why are you selling me a sack for why is the doc selling me a sack for 100 bucks? Well, you got time, energy, boat costs, etc. So
gas,
gas,
the cost to maintain your boat, whatever that is, maintenance or storage.
Right. Or come do it one time and you'll be paying me whatever I want. Because you don't want to do this crap.
That's the beauty of harvesting or catching here. If one spot doesn't work, you can move this setup.
And my buddy Bob told me that. He's like, Jeff, man, 5 foot over might sometimes make a difference. It's just the weirdest little thing, but and this one has never produced ever. It just seems with the flow right through here, it'd be the best one, and it never has. So that's when we move it across. But usually, yeah, you move it over 5-10 feet, and the terrain's different, and it works. It's so crazy.
Yeah, just a few feet, huh? Will make a difference.
Weird, yeah. And this is the first year I've been doing that, because in the others I'm like, well, if it doesn't catch, I don't care. I'm not trying to set the world on fire. But now that I kind of sell occasionally to the docks, I do want all I can catch. So I am going to, I am moving it. I am going to move it.
Yeah.
I'm looking for is grass, flow, and I'm close enough to this that I can put it here, and if that didn't work, I'm leaning against that.
Okay.
Little things like that.
Load them up with the protein. Make sure that you give them a reason to go in.
Yep.
I don't know if you would know this answer, but looking at this cypress, what is that caused by? Is that termite damage?
No, it just died.
Okay.
Either it died for whatever reason, or a lightning strike.
Okay.
And then it just kind of falls apart and deteriorates. I don't think there's termites or any of that kind of. I don't think that's out here.
Yeah, there's a big one in there. A few of them.
Already put the lemon, and then the rest of the seasoning's really in this powder.
Yeah.
And the vegetables and the crawfish are purged and ready to go.
Yeah.
We're gonna mix that in here when the water's just boiling, and put it in and boil it all at the same time.
Nice. How long does it take to boil up?
About 30 minutes. Well, about
or to get this to a boil?
Oh, to get this to a boil?
10 minutes?
Yeah, about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then we boil it for about that, plus or minus, and then we let it soak for about 30. The soaking is where you get the seasoning. Everybody thinks it's in the boil. The boil cooks them, and then the soaking is where you really get the way. And the longer you soak it, the more spicy they get. So,
yeah.
Everybody has their own little time measurements, and that's everybody's little secret. So anyway.
Cool.
Stay right here. So a sack averages right at 40 pounds. Sometimes it's 38, 39. I packed these this morning really, really big, so they're like, this is probably 41, 42 pounds per sack. So you kind of estimate 40 pounds. So if you have, 6 sacks, you figure you got 240, but it's plus or minus.
couldn't be here.
Snooze, you lose.
Should I? I mean, it is something I would do. But then again, he does have the house on the road. He can use it. Yeah, he got it.
That was a little flavor. That was flavor added there.
A little urban.
What? I didn't see
A stick, a stick and a leaf.
Yeah, a little urban mode.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually.
All right, sir. So let's get into cut and light mode.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep. Talk to me.
Yeah, man. So today we're gonna smoke Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. That's the name of the company. So Dunbarton is from Steve Saka. This is his Polpetta brand.
Okay.
Only comes in this one size. It's a 4x48, I believe.
Okay.
It was a event only cigar. Just to give you some background.
Okay.
So you can only get these at like events that he did, but then it got so popular he decided like let's make it a
let's do it.
yeah. So help yourself light up.
Okay.
You already got a cut. I'm gonna cut mine with a straight cut. And yeah, it got so popular that he wanted to offer it to everyone. So it's pretty cool for those who haven't heard of polpetta, which means meatball in Italian.
Is that right?
Yep, yep. And I know you have a little of Italian heritage,
that's
right?
That's it. That's exactly
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so polpetta means meatball in Spanish or Italian. I mean,
I should have known that.
yeah, that's all good. I know there's so many people in Louisiana who have Italian descent, and I guess there's so many of them, or these people who are generations removed, they don't even know the language sometimes.
That is the case.
Mm-hmm.
Find it a lot. Yeah.
Now, do you know your family genealogy? Is it both sides of the family, or
No,
the one
my
side?
dad's side, my grandmother's mother. So my great grandmother was from Calabria.
Oh,
And
okay.
my grandfather was Palermo.
Okay.
On my mom's
in
side,
Sicily, yeah.
yes, yeah. On my mom's side is all Cajun French, just from here.
Okay.
And so that's the two.
Okay.
Two heritages, yeah.
And you mentioned you want to go back, or you're going to, huh?
We're going. We're gonna go next year. My wife and I are gonna go next year, and we're gonna look up the family. Some other family members have gone and connected with our family that's still there. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go to Calabria and kind of hang out on the beach, find some local little restaurants and mom and pop shops, and just take it easy. But a portion of the trip's gonna be devoted to getting back in touch with the relatives. Yeah,
Cool.
no doubt. Yeah,
Cool.
it's gonna be fun.
Well, that's and when is that?
That's going to be next year. We haven't set the date yet.
Okay.
It's my wife and I's 25th wedding anniversary, and it's going to be her. I hope she didn't kill me for this. Her 50th birthday. So it's kind of like a double trip. So
Oh, cool.
combine the two. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going to go hopefully like 10 days or something. Really make a nice long trip out of it and get everything we can out of it. So we're going to go probably like next May or June, a little over a year from now.
Yeah,
that's when
'cause-
we kind of heard that's the good seasonal in between seasons, right?
Yeah, because I know when I went to, I used to go to Spain a lot.
Okay.
And just having traveled in that region in Europe, I've always heard that the best time to go, or don't try to go to Europe, like from July. Like you might be good beginning of July, but like late July. Don't go in August or even early September because number one, it's hot. Number two, everyone travels.
Yes.
And number three, a lot of mom and pops actually close for a whole month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because in Europe, when people vacation, they vacation for a month.
Okay.
Like they usually take a whole month off. And so if there's like a favorite spot you want to go to,
Yeah.
sometimes they might be closed for that whole month.
Okay.
So it's best to call ahead or find out if like this restaurant you heard about or read about or saw on YouTube, make sure that they're going to be open.
Okay. Good tip. Good tip.
Yeah. Then some of the best months to go to Europe is like in April and May.
Yeah, April,
Yep.
May, barely into June.
Yeah, because
That's
I mean, school's still in, tourists aren't out and about yet, so you can kind of like see what the locals do still, and
right.
not get bombarded or compete with other tourists.
Yeah.
So, and then the weather's still pretty good. So,
We done very, very little research, but the same thing. Just what you heard. Our anniversary's in September, but we said we're not going to wait that. We're going to go in April, May, June.
Oh, yeah, that'll be good.
And be set and avoid that. We can go whenever we want. We'll just celebrate early. No big deal.
and then I don't know. Have you ever heard of the show on HBO called The White Lotus?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
I think they're in 2 or 3 seasons, maybe 2.
That sounds right.
And it's like every season it showcases this boutique hotel, like it's fictional hotel chain, and every season it's in a different spot around the world. It's like a luxury hotel.
Okay.
One year they were in, I think, Sicily.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah, and so Americans got to see that, and they're calling it the White Lotus effect.
Oh,
where now so many Americans are going to these spots. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
And like kind of crowding it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess it's become more popular because I think for most people, or Americans at least, when they would go to Italy, they would visit like the typical spots, like Rome,
North.
Venice,
Yeah.
middle to north.
Middle or north.
No one ever traveled to south, unless you went to. There's this famous area of land in the south. Oh man, what are they called? I don't know if it's the Cinque Terre, but it's like these like really posh spots. I think they're like right north of Naples.
Okay.
That everyone goes to, and it's always crowded. And I forget the name of those towns. There's like a few of them. I think Portofino's one of them. But anyway, Americans would primarily go there. But ever since that series came out, now they're all going to like Sicily and the southern parts of Italy that no one ever goes to because they're like typically poor, not really like known by Americans. But when Americans think of stereotypical Italy, well, I understand. It's Sicily and the southern part of Italy. So. Yeah, I can't wait to hear your notes when you go to that trip.
No
next
doubt.
year.
And I'm going to get your notes. You and I talked about
I
it.
used to go. I went 99. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's recap what we have been doing the last few weeks.
Okay.
So you were gracious enough to, as the viewer has seen, to go out in the field. How do you harvest or fish for your own crawfish?
Catch them.
Or catch your own crawfish. Yeah.
Yeah. You came in one morning and we met up at my house, which I'm very fortunate to be right there in the crawfish mecca area. And so I had the boat hooked up, and already had the bait, kind of did the prep work. And so you and I just got to go. We left right from my house and went right across to the marina, not very far away. And then we launched the boat, maybe a 5-minute boat ride. It wasn't very long at all. And it was, so where I'm at is the Atchafalaya Spillway. And the water is in bodies of water, and I know that sounds silly, but like it's in the lake and then in the bayou. But the water spills over the banks, and it kind of, when I say floods, it's all trees and stuff, but the water goes and floods into the woods and into the kind of marshy areas. And that's where you put your crawfish traps. You kind of go in that shallow area where the water's flooded, but there's still flow. It's just a big water flow area.
And to recap, even though I think you've explained it in the video when we were out in the field, it's different than what some people might know about crawfishing as opposed to like in the farm, farm
raised.
Yeah, farm raised crawfish.
This is all wild caught crawfish. The ponds they can control the water depth and their harvest, and so that's why usually you get those first December, January, February, and then by March the wild caught crawfishes, which what we did, what you did with me, we all start putting our traps out February, March area to kind of reserve your spot, and then as it gets hotter by the day, the catch gets better by the day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's really cool to have seen that.
Yeah, it's
it's
pretty
a lot,
cool.
and it's not easy.
Right. It's not hard
for you. It's fun though.
But it's fun. Yeah, it's kind of like.
But it's not easy as people might think.
No, right. It's not like going to run a marathon. In hard. It's a little bit of work, but it's fun. You pick up that trap, and every trap is like a Christmas present. It could be empty, it could be a pair of socks, or it could be a bundle of cigars from Habana Port. Your trap's full. So every trap, you just get excited. Oh man, what the next one's going to be full? The next one's going to be full, and you run them. So it's work, but it's fun. Kind of like anything, golf or fishing. I mean, it's you gotta do it.
There's
you gotta
some activity.
practice it. There's some activity, and then but it's just fun, man. And the beauty is, like, so on a Tuesday, I'll just go run and catch a half a sack or a sack for my wife and I, and her mom and my mom, or our kids. So you can go and just get a little bit, or you can run your whole set and then have several sacks for friends or buyers or whatever,
Yeah.
So, and Louisiana did a good thing. You can have there's a recreational license, and then they have the commercial license, which isn't too much more expensive, less than $100. So it's not like it's some crazy expensive hobby, right? And then the land, it's kind of honor. You don't have to lease a section of land for $2,000 a year or anything like that. It's kind of some public area, and you just kind of leave your stuff alone, and you leave my stuff alone, and everybody just kind of gets along, and you can go, and it's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah, there's
so
like
fun.
a code. Like if I want to harvest or pick a spot, but I already see nets there, or people, you show me
Traps.
the color,
Yep.
the color coded.
Everybody has their colored
little strings,
little ribbons.
Yeah,
Yep.
ribbons.
Yeah.
I know, like, out of respect, I don't want to be too near to or close to you. Let me go
Correct.
to another spot.
Correct.
And there's just so much area.
Yeah.
There's room for everyone, really.
It is. There really
Yeah.
is a lot of area. And even if so you're going in the woods, right? And there's no set trails like a highway, right? So you kind of meander and you cross people's paths too. And what you end up doing is you see that they're flagging, their ribbons, and so you skip 7 or 8 boat lengths of, 2 or 3 before it, 2 or 3 after it, then you pick up your line again, and you just kind of cross. You're not going to mess their trap up, but you don't want to kind of be near their area, and you just respect, just general respect, and you just go about your business.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, lots of times you'll cross paths with people, and or their line or their row or their trail type thing.
And what were you saying? I think you said this. I can't remember if you said this when we were in the boat, but the state of Louisiana allows a person with the proper licensing to harvest or catch their own, but now they can also sell to the docks or other commercial entities?
Yeah, if they get that commercial license instead of the recreational license.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying, that commercial license, it isn't like $500. It's $75
Per year?
Per year, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not, a recreational is like $25. So it's not that much difference, and that allows you to catch more, and then you can sell to the dock. So like a buyer, you can sell to a buyer during the week.
Oh, okay.
If I catch 5 sacks on a Tuesday, I'm not going to be able to eat 5 sacks. So I'll keep 1 for my family, and then 4 I'll go sell to the dock,
Yeah.
or to the middleman and on a Tuesday. But then on the weekends, we'll kind of go through whatever we catch and eat those or so.
And the prices, I remember in the boat you said they reset every Monday after the weekend.
Yes.
Because let's rewind. Most people or most end buyers or consumers are buying during the weekend, right? To
That
eat
is
their
correct.
crawfish.
Correct. That's exactly
And
right.
then on Monday morning they'll reset based on the market demand or supply.
You got it. 100%.
Okay.
That's exactly
And
right.
then that price typically stays the same that week?
For that week or until the following Monday, it stays
Monday,
that
yeah.
rate. Yeah.
Okay.
And then those rates, you kind of got to check every Monday, because sometimes there's a holiday like Good Friday, and then the price goes up because there's just that much more demand, or Mother's Day. But
Yeah,
then
with Mother's Day coming up, or
it's gonna
by the time the listener hears this, it may have already passed. But Mother's Day, will that affect the pricing?
that'll keep it the same. That won't necessarily raise it, but it won't let it drop either. The farther
Okay.
along you go, usually Easter, this year was odd because Easter was sooner, but usually Easter's farther back in the calendar year, so you have more time. And after you benchmark,
peak is
your
usually
peak
Easter?
is Good Friday of Easter weekend, Good Friday for Lent. Everybody's wanting crawfish instead of meat, right? So, so that at that peak, the price just starts steadily just dropping, and then maybe it'll hold the week of Mother's Day, and then it drops again. But then what's funny is at the very end of the year, people get tired of crawfish, the fishermen are tired of catching, and so the price goes back up because there's not a lot of fishermen, and there's still a demand that the middlemen, the dock, sell to the restaurants and stuff, and the restaurants still want crawfish for their dishes. So you kind of go, your price goes up, then it goes down, then it kind of, if you can hang on.
There's
and
some
keep
are
going,
counteracting
yes,
forces that kind of keep it.
That
yeah.
is correct. And then Mother Nature plays its part too, right? Because the beginning of this year was crazy. We
was a
had
weird year.
Weird year. So we had low water. So the wild caught, which is what I do, we couldn't hardly get to our traps, and it was still early in the season, and Easter was early, and so it was the confluence of all the wrong events, and there was just not a lot of supply. Oh. And so, and it wasn't artificial. That was the case. I mean, I was catching. It's crazy.
Because I remember there was one week I asked you if you happen to have crawfish,
and I was like,
and you were like, "Man, I can't even get any for myself."
Right, that is
Or
exactly
enough.
the answer I had. Yeah, it was just not the time of the year. It was just too early. It was like I said, with that low water. So so you got all those different factors. But again, I'm saying it like I'm some professional, but I do it more for fun. So that kind of.
But you have more insight than just like me, Joe Blow.
No, correct.
That has no idea.
No, exactly.
But yeah, you're not professional per se.
Yeah.
Like these guys that run how many traps?
They'll run like 400 or 600. They'll have like 400 or 600 traps, and they'll run 200 one day and then 200 the next day.
Yeah.
Then the following day they go back to that original 200. So that way every set is called a set. So this set of 200 is resting while I'm fishing this one. So you got a 48-hour window that this one rests, and then then this one rests. See what I'm saying? So you can alternate. So they can run every day, but they're not running the same traps every day. That gives you your 48-hour window to go recatch them, catch the new batch.
Yeah. Have you heard?
I don't do that. I have less than 100, 50, 60. I have 100, but I don't run them at all times. I only run portions of it because like I said, I can't. I'm not running as many as the professionals, but I can't have, if I happen to get lucky and have 6 sacks, what am I going to do? So I just run a portion, kind of what I want, and then I get back and do my day job. But so anyway, it's fun. Yeah.
Have you, with how weird of a year it's been, or atypical for Louisiana, have you heard of any grumblings from end consumers about, I don't know, conspiracy theories? Like, man, why is it so expensive this year? Like, are you guys, like, from the commercial side, screwing things up? But it wasn't out of there. It wasn't anything they were manipulating. It was other factors that they couldn't control.
It was that exactly right. That was that. I didn't really hear anything. People
kind of knew that it was going to be
they kind of
weird.
knew, and people started talking about the drought and the low water when the farmers, the crawfish farmers, farming. They didn't have the water, so we kind of knew there was a drought level for them, and so that kind of led into our season that we were going to have low water as well. So by the time it got to the wild caught, which is what I do. Yeah, people knew that there was low water and it was not a fake factor. It was the real thing. There was a real happening there.
Yeah.
So
man, because there are some people I've talked to or just heard in passing these past few months that I guess with the pricing, it's just a lot higher than normal.
Yeah. For
the end consumer, right? Where it's already boiled, you're buying it from like a supermarket that does the boiling for you, or one of these retailers that have their own setups. Like on average, what are they, like $5 to $7 a pound? In the beginning of the season, it was like $10.
8 and 10, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really crazy, and it's still probably
5 or 6,
4 to 5 to 6, depending on how. Yeah. I keep thinking in my Morgan City mind, but Baton Rouge and New Orleans, it was probably 5, 6, 7 still per pound, completely boiled. Now. So
that's another factor one has to consider, right? Will retail prices be different, say, in Morgan City versus Baton Rouge versus New Orleans? Because I guess Morgan City's close to the source of the wild caught.
That is correct.
So it should be cheaper given everything else equal?
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's less transportation costs?
Right. And there's, of 20 people I know, 12 of us in Morgan City are crawfishing, where if I know 20 people in Baton Rouge, 1 or 0 is crawfishing. Right. So you got more access, so you can, so it kind of, that lowers the price because you have a little bit more access. But the farther away from Morgan City, Habana Port, Bell River, kind of all that general area right there is all that wild caught. And the farther you get from that, the more, like anything, the more expensive it becomes because you got all the different factors. Yeah.
Right, because let's say like someone in Chicago that wants Louisiana crawfish, they're going to pay a lot more to transport it up there.
That is correct.
Yeah.
You got just that cost. Plus, in a crazy year like this year with the demand and the supply was low, then it really gets crazy for those guys. I couldn't imagine trying to get crawfish in Chicago this year. It would be,
which I'm sure it's very rare. Yeah. But there's got to be some buyer.
Right.
Maybe a transplant from Louisiana that moved up to Chicago.
Correct.
And isn't that who's like typically buying?
That is correct. Yeah.
Like the out-of-state people who are buying Louisiana crawfish typically had some sort of connection with Louisiana beforehand, right?
Correct.
And know about crawfish.
Yes, exactly. Or you'll have, like you said, even in Florida when we fortunate to go on vacation in like Pensacola or Destin or whatever, there's a couple of families actually from Baton Rouge. The Louisiana Lanyap is here, restaurant.
The restaurant?
And they have one in Destin, but I think they sold it. But anyway, the point is they started here and knew about it and made a Cajun restaurant, and so they get crawfish shipped there. They want the local wild caught crawfish.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah. So different families. A buddy of mine from high school lives just north of Atlanta, and he said there's a family there that opened a Cajun restaurant, and so he kind of goes and gets a little. It's not quite the same because they gotta spice it down some. And he's used to Morgan City crawfish or seafood dishes, but it's close enough to home, quote unquote, that he can get it, and it'll satisfy that itch. And then until he gets back and gets the real deal.
But it's not the same, is it?
It's not quite the same.
As opposed to like getting it from Morgan City
correct.
or New Orleans.
It's just that much fresher. It's like anything. It's just that much fresher. But then again,
but also you said they might have to dial the spices for their market.
Down for that market. That's 100%. That's exactly right.
That reminds me of Popeye's chicken when I guess it was still owned by Al Copeland.
Yep.
And he started going more national. I heard that I've never tried a Popeye's chicken outside Louisiana. Because I always heard that the ones outside Louisiana, their spices had to be toned down.
Way down. That makes perfect sense.
But the ones around here in Louisiana are always like spiced to our like locals'
our taste buds. Sure, absolutely. Yep.
And
I
now
can see
now that they're owned by a huge conglomerate, I haven't had Popeyes in a while. I don't know if they even toned it down.
AFC
for Louisiana.
Companies, America's Fried Chicken, I think is the parent company in Atlanta, actually, or outside of Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
That might be the franchisee. But I think the parent company is the same one who owns Burger King.
Oh,
and
okay.
KFC, maybe? I might be wrong on that.
Okay. I'm not 100%
Or Burger
positive.
King, at least.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the QSR, I think, is the name of the stock ticker.
Okay.
And now they're the parent company who bought Popeyes. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm sure it's changed from what it was like 30 or 40 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you grow up? Did you had Popeyes back then? Huh?
I did.
In Morgan City?
I did. But in Morgan City, there's a local family, right? Imagine that. And at one point, they had, I'm going to get this wrong, but they had like 20 or 30 stores. They spread out all across Louisiana and into Texas and Florida. Danny's Fried Chicken. And so I kind of grew up on Danny's just because it was local. And like I said, they, before me, more of my parents, when they had that big. Now there's probably 8 or 10 stores. The son has it now. And so he's kind of focused on like 8 or 10 stores, Houma and Morgan City and that type of thing. But at one point it had gone all around. In fact, at one point there was a store in like Gulf Shores, Alabama. I mean, they had spread out pretty good. So I grew up on Danny's, but I would have some Popeyes every so often.
I never heard of Danny's.
Yeah,
so they were like the competitor to Popeyes at the time?
Yes. Yeah.
And are they still around?
They have about 6 or 8. The son has probably 6 or 8 stores.
Okay.
The Colgan family. And in fact, I don't have all the details because when I was a kid, but they had Lisa's Po' Boys. The daughter was Lisa. A son was Danny. So they had Danny's Fried Chicken. And then Clint has it now. I don't know if Clint had a store. I'm going to have to ask Clint if he had a store.
Okay.
If he had a restaurant. Yeah. But Lisa's Po' Boys, they had 2 or 3 of those, and then they're down to 1. The Danny's Fried Chicken's 8 or 10, and Clint is the one who runs them. So
okay.
Yeah.
Man, we always talk about our food down here.
Oh man, it's yeah. It's
and look
so
at
funny.
me, I'm the byproduct of too much food.
That's right.
Yeah.
I might have mentioned it in the last podcast. My cousin's in Oklahoma, and he said, "Hey, I got some family coming, some friends coming down. Can you give them a list?" And he joked because the food list was this long, and the things to do was this long. He's like, "Dude, all you think about is food." I was like, "Well, we're eating lunch, we're planning supper, man. That's what we do."
Yeah. Exactly.
And I said, and in my defense, one item was the French Quarter, so that's in 20 things in itself. He laughed. It was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, food is a big deal.
So going back to the crawfish and the pricing, when you talk to your buyers, the people buying your crawfish, do you all ever talk shop about who they're selling to and what's going on with their side of it? Like do they sell to restaurants? Do they just sell to end consumers?
Other people like me?
So when you catch enough crawfish in sacks to sell to the dock, do you talk to those people of who they're selling to and how that's going to, or you don't really talk shop?
I haven't. It's not like
you're just there to like sell your supply and that's it.
Yeah, I could, but I just didn't.
Right. You just didn't. But you haven't heard of any anecdotes this year or any weird stuff?
No, nothing out the ordinary. Everybody's
do they sell primarily to locals or do they ship across state lines? Do you know?
Oh yeah, definitely across state lines. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's always like going back to like people from out of state buying Louisiana crawfish.
Correct.
How that market is. Yeah,
they sell in state too. I'm positive.
Yeah.
But then also they've expanded and going further. One buyer is not around anymore. He ended up moving back to Atlanta, but he had he would ship every week crawfish to 3 or 4 restaurants around the Atlanta area, and he had enough business just from those couple of restaurants that he had a truck going every week.
Whoa.
But then he ended
so
up
at one point,
moved
Atlanta
back.
was getting some
Atlanta was
crawfish,
getting Morgan City crawfish, Chapelaya
Wow.
crawfish,
Okay.
yeah.
That's always
and that's what I
intriguing.
know of. And I'm sure there's tons of stories like that. That's just the one I know of personally.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it's such an interesting like niche of the food business. You know, crawfish is probably very specialized.
Yeah,
It's not a dish that you hear too much outside Louisiana, right?
I agree. Again, unless like we talked about, it's some that family that moved to Texas or
Right.
Florida and they opened a store, a restaurant. But yeah, it's pretty low. Yeah, it's pretty specialized. I agree.
And then we've probably joked about it on the podcast, or I can't remember if we talked about it on the boat ride, but like you hear about the Houston crawfish and how they prep it, and it's just bad. Or it's not bad, but like it's not like Louisiana where they pour the boil or the seasoning on top of the crawfish after the boil.
Right. Yeah, that's just a no-no.
Yeah.
You just can't do that.
And as you showed us, as we see in the video, like your process
Right.
is what is very distinct about Louisiana's style of cooking.
Yeah,
Or
and
boiling the crawfish.
Yeah, and it's the same general procedure, but everybody tweaks it to their own little liking, and
Right.
everybody kind of has their own little way of doing it. But it's the same basic procedure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Where after you wash a crawfish, like give me the basic steps in a few sentences.
so you take them out of the sack, put them in the ice chest, and you kind of
rinse
wash
them,
and you
yeah.
rinse them. You kind of wash them. What you want them to do is you're not putting the salt. Some people put the salt in to purge them, but that.
Yeah, we've come to the general consensus like you don't need to do
and
that.
I think that was proved by like the LSU,
LSU, yeah.
agriculture. Yeah. So what you end up doing is you washing them and you're getting some of the last little bit of that leaf or trash or the sticks
Yeah.
or whatever out. But also what happens is they're rubbing against each other and they're knocking that little bit of mud that they have on themselves off
Off the shell.
off
huh?
the shells
Yeah.
because they're in a confined space, and that's kind of overflowing, and you're cleaning them basically. And so that's what that part is, and then from there. That's where you're kind of doing that. You kind of do a 2-for-1. You're kind of doing that, but you're kind of getting your pot ready. You put your butane, and you got your boiling
Or the
pot.
propane.
Your
Yeah, the
propane.
propane,
Yeah, propane tank, and then you're heating up the water, putting your spices in, and then when the water kind of starts boiling, you have your spices in. You put your vegetables and your crawfish in your pot or your basket. I have a specialized pot, but
Your setup
mine's
is
a
different than
little different.
what I've seen a lot of people, the decades past use.
Right, but
That typical like long pot
yeah, long cylindrical
with like the
pot.
other
And
cage or
the
mesh.
basket,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
basket
the
they put in and out, and you do that, and you boil it for X amount of minutes, and then you soak it for X amount of minutes. And I'm saying X because if you ask
Everyone's
10
different.
people, you can have 10
Yeah.
different answers for that
Yeah.
X and Y, and then you let it soak, and then you take them out, and you kind of let it. You kind of on those cylindrical pots, you take it and you kind of tilt it on the cylindrical pot. To let it drain, let a little bit of water drain out, and then you spread it on the table and you get after it. And you have your little, everybody makes their own kind of little mix too, kind of like a mayo, ketchup, Tony Chachere's type seasoning, or everybody has their own, and you make that little mix for your dip.
Now, I'll be honest, growing up in New Orleans, I never really saw that dipping sauce too
Okay.
much. So when I
Okay.
saw you offer that, I've seen it,
Sure.
and it's kind of like that typical, you said it's
looks
like a
very
mayo, ketchup, Cajun seasoning, mix it up, and it's that kind of pinkish.
And it's like
Seasoned
it's like the
sauce.
Chick-fil-A sauce. People might know that
Yeah.
from
Or
other areas.
Raisin cane
or Raisin
sauce.
cane sauce.
Yeah,
So they're that pinkish sauce exactly.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
nicely seasoned. So I like that though. It's pretty cool. Did you always have that growing up in Morgan
yes,
City?
absolutely.
So I
Yep.
wonder if that's, and maybe I just happen to go to New Orleans spots that didn't have that sauce.
I'm not sure. I know growing up as a kid, every
That was normal.
boil we went to, that was normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My one buddy I mentioned earlier that lives in Atlanta, he's the one holdout. He dips it in butter like lobsters, like you would lobster meat. But
Oh, wow.
he's the only person I know of that does that. We
Yeah,
all
I've
use
never heard
pink,
that.
that pink sauce and pinkish sauce, mayo.
I've
ketchup.
never heard of butter, but I'm wondering
kinda-
if he's taken a play from like lobster, like
Lobster,
Maine
right.
lobster, where they like to
Exactly.
dip their lobster in.
Exactly. That drawn butter and he's the only one, but
Yeah.
I got to call him out on that.
Yeah. I'm sure
fact-
there'd be I mean, hey, do you like? Does a viewer? What are your thoughts? Do you dip crawfish in butter?
Right.
But I mean, I'm not going to knock it. I just never tried it.
Yeah, and
I've never heard
I
of
think
that.
it relates kind of like you said to lobster. I mean, it tastes good on lobster. Crawfish kind of tastes the same, I guess. That dip.
I mean, to someone living, say, in Idaho, listening in on this, they have no idea about crawfish. What that is? They might have heard of it as crayfish.
Crayfish.
We say crawfish. It's basically almost. It looks like a little lobster.
Exactly, little miniature lobster. Yeah, and you can see on the video that we took, you catch anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30, 40, 50, even if it's really running. The whole bottom of the trap's full of them, and then you have X amount of traps, and then you kind of dump when you fish it. Again, you see this in the video. You dump it into that tray, and it kind of separates the sticks and the leaves and stuff, and then they fall into that sack, and the sack's typically like 40 pounds, right at 40 pounds plus or minus, depending on how tight you really pack it, and then that's what everybody thinks of, a sack of crawfish, and that's what you kind of gauge your boil on. Hey, we boiling 1 sack or 2 sacks or 3 sacks. That's kind of your standard unit of measure, for lack of a better word.
And and different topic with crawfish. Is there something with the color of the sacks? I think maybe we talked about it on the boat, but I've seen green colored sacks and black colored.
Purple.
Oh, it's purple?
Green and purple.
Is there a difference? Does that mean something or no? Is this random what you buy?
That's random, but if you look at the actual part that you tie, the black tie on the if it's black, that's about a 40-pound sack. If the tie is black and white kind of intermixed, a black and white string tie, that's about a 45-pound sack.
Oh, okay.
And that's more for a professional who's going straight to the dock, so that the restaurants can get a 45-pound sack and they know exactly what they're getting, because it's just a little bit larger. The typical 99 of 100 sacks are going to be that black string, the 40-pound sack. That's what kind of everybody bases their boil on and their seasoning on. So it's not unheard of. I've gotten a hold of some of the black and white string sacks just on accident. It's not anything special. It's just a bigger sack. But pretty much everybody uses just the black string tie ones, purple or green color sack, but it's just a 40-pound sack. Again, that's what everybody's just used to set their seasoning to, their boiling pot to, is that 40-pound standard.
So as we have shown on the video how a lot of Louisianans like to have their boiled crawfish, what are some of the other ways? Do you have your crawfish some other way? Like when you peel, like if you can't finish the boil, what are some ways to reuse or use it later?
So I'll harken back to my buddy Chris again from Atlanta. He comes, in fact, he just came about a week ago, and he came for the week, and we boiled almost every day. And then we boiled the last day, and we strictly peeled them.
For the tail meat.
For the tail meat. We peeled them that morning, bagged them up, and then he got on the road back to Atlanta. The point of that is he uses them, crawfish étouffée, kind of like a cream sauce, buttery cream sauce. Some people make crawfish bread, like you've heard of maybe sausage bread. There's crawfish bread, cheese, and on a French loaf, a French bread loaf, cut in half.
On our previous video, I went to Jazz Fest and featured some of the food. They have a famous dish there called crawfish bread.
Crawfish bread, exactly.
Yeah, which is basically like I guess to deconstruct, it's like a sandwich, but it's almost like a press sandwich, I guess.
Yep.
With cheese and these crawfish tails, and it's kind of melded.
And it's a couple of different types of cheese, if I'm not mistaken.
I forget. I think it's like a yellow cheese, but I don't know if it's like cheddar or
mozzarella, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It might be a mix. It might be a proprietary mix. I haven't looked into it.
And what makes it special is you put it on the French loaf, the French bread, instead of a regular just sandwich bread, right? Because that can hold a little bit more and absorb a little more of the juice and the cheese, and so you have that.
Yeah. Any other ways you've heard of it? I guess you can use it in an omelet.
An omelet? Well, that's funny. Yeah. So when I boil crawfish, my wife and I eat it for myself, right? So we eat it that night. We eat it the next day. But in the next morning and then the following morning, some of the vegetables, if there's potatoes left or the sausage, I'll match all that up. And the crawfish tails will make an omelet.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
And some cheese, a good cheesy crawfish omelet. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow.
That'll start your morning off right.
Yeah.
But other ways, too, like crawfish stew.
Okay.
A crawfish stew is really good. My cousin makes a killer crawfish stew. That's one of my favorite dishes in the world. And we trade out. He's like, hey, man, I'll make you chicken stew if you come, help me cut this tree or whatever. I don't know, I'm making it up. But he's like, I was like, hey, you got crawfish stew? He said, I'll make you a batch. I said, okay. So
what else? Crawfish tacos? Have you ever heard of that?
I can't say that I've heard of that, but I can't imagine it.
Crawfish fajitas or mixing different genres?
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely. It's more the Cajun style stuff, the stews.
Okay.
You can kind of put it it's more chicken and sausage gumbo than a crawfish gumbo. You make it a seafood gumbo. You put crab meat, crawfish,
Shrimp.
shrimp. You know, a whole smorgasbord of meat, protein. Your protein for gumbos. Mainly, it's stews and etouffees is what you use the tails in, and then like I said, the omelet or something like that, something special.
Wow.
Because a lot of times you try and estimate how much corn or potatoes or mushrooms you put in, but then you kind of invariably have leftover of that, and you don't want to throw it away. It's all spiced up and good, so you mash all that up and make an omelet the next morning, and the leftover tails.
All right. So what do you think about people who use these different untraditional additives like pineapple in the crawfish bowl or Brussels sprouts?
That's not for me.
Yeah.
But hey, if that floats your boat, crawfish are great, man. If you want to do that, that's fine. We do occasionally. My wife likes I'll put a cauliflower in aluminum foil and kind of soak that in there, and it kind of just falls apart inside. Yeah. It absorbs, but it falls apart in that aluminum foil, and you kind of open it up, and you can take a big hunk, and it's kind of creamy. But yeah, the pineapple and the oranges, and again, it's not my cup of tea. But hey, if you like doing it, that's fine. I'm easy, man. I'm not
You're not here to rock the boat.
Here to rock anybody's boat, man.
You just want to sell that crawfish.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Catch it and. For my friends and family.
Now, if anyone's listening to this, can they call you or email you, or do you already have like your set end consumers that you're happy with?
I mainly sell.
Because maybe someone's listening and might be like, "Hey, I want to reach out to Jeff."
So here's the
and
thing.
buy some of the crawfish.
So here's the thing. On a follow-up podcast, we'll have to get that answered because we need to talk to your wildlife and fisheries guys. I don't know if I think there's now a new peddler's license or something like that you got to have.
Oh, so you can only sell to the
to the dock with the commercial license in myself. And I'm sure it's like, here's how I would say this. Here's my answer. It's like going 62 and a 55. You can do that, but are you supposed to? No, but you can. Driving, speed wise. So, I mean,
So you can only catch for yourself.
Or to the dock.
But if you're catching for yourself, you're not making money.
Right. That's just feeding the family.
Personal consumption.
Personal consumption. I think, like I said, it's called a peddler's license where you can sell. A lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, some people were getting in trouble selling and advertising on Facebook because they didn't have the right license and stuff. And the wildlife fisheries hitting those Facebook accounts, and people were getting in trouble. I don't know. It's kind of a gray area. I have to do more research.
Yeah. So right now you're just only selling.
Yeah, here's my number. Call me up.
Okay.
But
that's good to know.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, because you've always done everything by the book.
Yeah.
Hunting, like we were talking about with your duck hunting and fishing.
And it's so simple. This is the kind of stuff that bothers me. Just put on the life jacket, man. Hook up the kill switch. Put on the life jacket. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I'm not asking you to do anything extra. It's safety.
Yeah.
And especially as you saw, I mean, we'll hit a cypress knee and we kind of rock and tilt and swish, and you're on a boat, and even though it's 2 feet of water, you fall out and you hit a tree or a stump, and you're in the water and you knock your head out.
Yeah.
So I just put my life jacket on, do what I'm supposed to do. Now, I just do it. So
for now, you can
follow the rules.
The only way you make money with that right license is to sell to another business that's licensed, like a dock.
That's
like a
correct.
Dock.
Right. And that's what I have that commercial license for.
Okay.
And the beauty is Louisiana. I don't want to disparage Louisiana. The recreational license, you can have like 4 or 5 sacks for yourself. I mean, you can
per day.
Per day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. That's a lot.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
If you got to have a huge family to fill that, right? A Good Friday family, immediate family type party. So you can have that way. If you when the season peaks and it's just right, and you say, hey, I got to run all my traps today, you'll have 3, 4, 5 sacks if you're doing it just recreational, right? And you can get that much, and you can be legal, and you go in and you don't have to worry. You're not panicking. The commercial guys have 10, 20, 30 sacks a day. I mean, it's like off the charts. But again, they're selling to the dock with the commercial license. I have the ability to do that with the commercial license. I just not going to run that many traps. I have another job. I just do it for fun.
Right.
So
Yeah, you're doing it for fun.
It's fun. Mm-hmm. So for right now, I have it for my family or sell to the dock on a Tuesday or a Thursday or whatever.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to impart to the listener? I mean, I want to thank you for showing me how you do it and how you catch your own.
Oh, no, man.
Crawfish. It's fun.
It was fun. I loved it. I enjoyed having you. It's funny because I'll tell people, hey, look, you can do nothing or help me a little bit or help me a lot. I come by myself and I do it by myself just because, and I just got into the habit. I can do it all. If you want to help me, great. If you want to just sit back and relax, like you did a little bit of both, so it was pretty good. So, but I'm wide open, man. It's easy. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy having people come with me and show them that experience. Everybody thinks it's crazy, nasty, muddy, and just nasty, but it's not. There's lots of water lilies, water hyacinths, water lilies, and they kind of filter the water. So, and
it's very clean.
It's very clear and clean.
Yeah.
it's dirty and clean all at the same time. You can't see the bottom, but you could see a foot down, or a foot down worth, 18 inches worth. You can see when you pull up to the trap. You see in the video, you can kind of see some of the crawfish, right in the trap already. So it's not as I like that experience, showing people, and they expect them to be, bugs and slimy and bugs and spiders, and it's none of that. It's just clear and clean and peaceful. I don't even turn on the radio or anything. I just like listening to the birds and the birds chirping, and you'll see alligators, you'll see snakes. Not all the time. Every second or third trip, I'll see one, and I'll see an alligator. Say, hey, you stay over there, and I'm gonna stay over here, and we're cool. We're cool, okay. And we just go right by each other. Yeah. They don't come attack you or anything, but you don't even really see them that much. I mean, they're as scared of us as in theory, they're as scared of us as we are of them. So they just kind of hold their area. So it's all good. I wanna make that clear. There's not a ton of those out there. It's clean and peaceful and just easy. And everybody keeps their trash in their boat, and it's just so clean, and not in the city. It's just, you are out in the woods, and the birds and the sun and the clouds. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty good stuff.
So I'm not going to ask you the final puff, because you did that in a previous episode.
Correct.
But we will close by, I'll ask you, I know, once again, you were talking a lot and you had to relight, which is normal for a lot of our guests.
I do it every time you and I get together.
What are your final thoughts on this cigar? On the Polpetta?
I like this. I like it. It's smooth. I'm very pleased with it. It's a good short little smoke. This is short little time we're talking, and I still got a little bit left to go. But I like it a lot. It's smooth. I find it smooth. Yeah. Everybody's taste buds are different. I didn't notice any special notes, but I really enjoyed it. Just a solid, good solid smoke. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Wasn't overpowering. I'm pleased. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here once again, and I'd love to have you again in the future. So
happy to do it, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got to do it.
Yeah, anyone who's interested in the cigar or any of the cigars we feature, you can check us out on shop.habanaport.com. So with that, we'll say goodbye.
All right,
guys. See y'all later.
Thanks.
All right, bye.